My name is Drew Patterson, and the night my wife told me she was taking my stepdaughter to spend Christmas with her biological father, she slammed our kitchen door so hard the windows rattled. She pointed a perfectly manicured finger at me and said, "Clear as a church bell. Sophie needs her real father. If you don't like it, divorce me." I didn't argue. I wiped the grease off my hands, opened my laptop at the kitchen table, and finally accepted the Dubai transfer I'd been turning down for months. 1 week later, she came home screaming on my front porch, pounding on the door like she still owned the place. Back then, she really did think she owned everything. It didn't start with the screaming. It started like a regular gray Friday in Bakersfield, California. December heat still hanging in the air, oil derricks pumping steadily in the distance. Folks just trying to get through another work week at the refinery. I'd put in a full shift at Chevron, stayed late to troubleshoot a compressor that wouldn't stop cycling, and swung by Target for groceries and a rotisserie chicken. The compressor had been acting up all week, pressure readings fluctuating between 180 and 220 psi, when it should have held steady at 195. That's the kind of detail that keeps you awake at night, when you're responsible for a multi-million-dollar operation. I'd spent 3 hours tracking down a faulty pressure sensor, replacing the whole assembly, and running diagnostics until the numbers finally stabilized. Small victories in the oil business. When I walked into our house on Panorama Drive, it smelled like vanilla candles and pine. The little artificial tree in the corner was already lit, colored lights blinking in the front window. That was Sophie's touch. She was 10 and loved Christmas like it was a full-time job. She came sliding into the hallway in sock feet, her dark hair still damp from her after-school shower. "Daddy Drew, did you fix the dollhouse roof?" she asked, holding up the small wooden dollhouse I'd been working on in the garage. Lisa had found it beat up at a yard sale 3 weeks ago, missing shingles, loose joints, one tiny window hanging by a thread. I'd spent 3 evenings sanding and gluing it back together after work, matching the paint colors as close as I could manage. "Give it a try," I said, kneeling down to her level. Sophie pressed on the little pink roof with both hands, rocking it back and forth. It didn't move. "I told Mom you could fix anything," she said proudly, her gap-toothed smile stretching wide. "You always fix everything that's broken." If only that had been true. In the kitchen, Lisa stood at the granite counter with her back to me, scrolling through her phone with quick, agitated swipes. Her shoulders were tight, sitting high like they did when she was planning something I wouldn't like. After 8 years of marriage, you learn to read the signs like weather patterns. The way she held her jaw meant trouble. The way she avoided eye contact meant bigger trouble. "Hey," I said, putting the milk in the stainless steel fridge. "Got the Christmas bonus today. Not huge, but it'll cover that bike Sophie wanted, and maybe a weekend in San Francisco." She didn't look up from her screen. The silence stretched long enough to make me uncomfortable. "We need to talk," she said finally. Those 4 words are never about anything good. In my experience, they're usually followed by someone's world falling apart. "Okay," I said carefully, setting the chicken on the counter. "About what?" She set the phone down and faced me. She had on a cream-colored blouse I recognized from her real estate headshots, lipstick still perfect from showing houses all day. It struck me that she dressed more for clients than for evenings at home. When had that started? "I talked to Jason today," she said. Jason, her ex-husband. The insurance adjuster who missed birthdays and parent-teacher conferences, but always had a story about why. The man who'd left when Sophie was 3 because fatherhood wasn't what he expected. "About what?" I asked, though my stomach had already started to knot. "About Christmas," she said, like it ought to be obvious. "He invited us to his cabin this year, up in Mammoth. He wants to make up for lost time with Sophie. She needs her real father in her life." "Lisa, we already have plans," I said. "Church service, dinner at your parents' place, the light display at the park. Sophie's been talking about it for weeks." She cut me off with a little wave of her hand, the gesture dismissive and final. "We have habits," she said, "not plans. You and your refinery Christmas parties and cheap wine. Sophie deserves a real Christmas with a big cabin and a real tree and her real dad." She hit that word like a hammer striking metal. I let that sink in for a second, feeling something cold settle in my chest. "I thought I was part of that," I said quietly. "I'm the one here every day. I'm the one reading to her, taking her to soccer practice, showing up at school events when you're busy with showings." Her mouth twisted into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You're the stepfather," she said flatly. "Don't make this about your ego. You knew what you were signing up for when you married a woman with a child. Jason is her actual father. She needs that biological connection, that bond." Something small and quiet broke inside my chest. Not a dramatic snap, more like an old gasket finally giving way after years of pressure. "And where do I fit in?" I asked. She shrugged, the gesture casual and brutal. "You don't. Not this time. We're going to the cabin for a week. We leave on the 23rd. If you can't handle that, you can file for divorce, or I will." She said it like she was reading from a script she'd rehearsed all afternoon. Matter of fact, businesslike. The same tone she used with difficult clients. From the living room, Sophie called. "Mom, are we watching the Christmas movie tonight? The one with the angel?" Lisa didn't answer. Her green eyes stayed locked on mine, waiting for a reaction. I'd given her plenty over the years, pleading, arguing, explaining myself like a teenager caught breaking curfew. This time, I just stood there, feeling the weight of 8 years settling on my shoulders. I thought about the email from Dubai sitting flagged in my inbox. Third offer in 6 months. Final offer, site manager, mega construction project, United Arab Emirates. 30-story residential complex, full amenities, 18-month timeline. I'd turned them down twice because Lisa didn't want to leave California, or her real estate clients, or her parents' house 20 minutes away. I thought about my father, who'd worked 35 years at the same refinery before it closed, and used to tell me, "Don't let anybody treat you like you're lucky, just to be standing in the room, son." "I see," I said. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. "When did you tell Sophie?" "Yesterday. She's excited about the snow. Jason's picking us up in his new Tahoe." Of course he was. Jason, with his insurance adjuster salary and his sporadic child support payments, was picking them up in a vehicle that cost more than I made in 6 months. "Okay," I said. "I'll stay out of your way." Lisa blinked. That wasn't the line she was expecting. She'd probably prepared for yelling, for accusations, for the same tired arguments we'd had every time Jason's name came up. "That's it?" she demanded. "You're not going to yell, call me selfish, threaten to call a lawyer?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "Not tonight." She huffed and turned back to her phone, muttering something about me being spineless. The words stung because part of me wondered if they were true. I walked out of the kitchen, past the smell of vanilla candles and the stack of real estate flyers on the counter, and into the living room. Sophie had lined up the little wooden family in front of the dollhouse. The dad figure was closest to the door, like he was protecting the others. "Movie time?" I asked. She grinned, patting the couch beside her. "Can we do the black and white one with the angel again?" "It's a wonderful life," I said. "Yeah, we can do that." She curled up under my arm with her favorite blanket, the one with the soccer balls that I'd bought her after her first goal. Her head fit perfectly in the hollow of my shoulder, and for a moment, everything felt normal again. On the screen, George Bailey's whole life played out in front of him. All the little sacrifices and quiet moments that nobody else seemed to notice. The bridge scene always got to me, but tonight it hit different. Here was a man who'd given up his dreams for family, only to discover his family was everything. I watched, but I was thinking about how many times I'd said no to that Dubai job. 6 months ago, they'd offered me a bump to regional operations manager if I'd relocate to their Middle East division. 3 months ago, they'd sweetened it with housing and a family visa. Last month, they'd made it clear this was the final offer. Site manager, 30-story luxury residential complex in Dubai Marina. 18 months to completion, package worth $180,000 annually, plus housing allowance, plus education allowance, plus annual flights home. The kind of opportunity that comes once in a career. I'd turned it down every time because of Sophie, because of the life we'd built here in Bakersfield. Because Lisa had made it clear she wasn't interested in chasing oil money to some desert. Halfway through the movie, Sophie fell asleep. Her breathing settled into the steady rhythm that meant she was deep under. I carried her to her room, tucked the soccer ball comforter up under her chin, and stood there a minute, listening to her breathe. Her room was exactly what you'd expect from a 10-year-old girl who considered me her dad. Photos from our camping trip to Sequoia last summer. The trophy from her soccer league championship, a drawing she'd made of our family, stick figures holding hands in front of a house, with "I love my daddy Drew" written in purple crayon across the bottom. That drawing had been on my bathroom mirror for 6 months. Downstairs, the house felt different, empty somehow, even with Lisa in the bedroom and the TV still murmuring in the background. The smell of dinner lingered, pot roast that Lisa had made in the slow cooker, one of the few meals she still cooked from scratch. I sat at the kitchen table, pulled my laptop toward me, and opened the email from Dubai. Ken Morrison, Project Director, Gulf Construction Dynamics. His last message was 2 weeks old. Drew, this is our final offer. We need a decision by December 15th. The project launches January 2nd with or without you. I hope you'll consider what this could mean for your career. Best regards, Ken. December 15th. Tomorrow. I scrolled through the attachment one more time. Contract details, salary breakdown, housing specifications, 2-bedroom apartment in Dubai Marina, 42nd floor, view of the Persian Gulf, fully furnished, utilities included, company car, health insurance, annual performance bonuses, the kind of package that would set Sophie up for college, the kind of opportunity that would establish my career permanently. Hi, Ken, I typed. Thank you for your patience. If the position is still available, I'd like to accept the site manager role. Please send contract documents and relocation timeline. I paused, cursor blinking. Lisa's voice echoed from the kitchen. You're the stepfather. Jason's Tahoe pulling into our driveway on December 23rd. Sophie packing for a week with her real father. I added one more line. I can start immediately after the holidays. The cursor blinked at the end of the sentence. I read it twice, heard my father's voice again. Don't let anybody treat you like you're lucky just to be standing in the room, and hit send. The little whoosh of the email going out sounded louder than it should have in that quiet kitchen. My phone buzzed 5 minutes later. Ken Morrison, calling from Dubai, where it was already Saturday morning. Drew, fantastic news, he said. His voice carried that slight delay of international calling. I was hoping you'd come around. This project is going to be massive. 30 floors, 500 units, completion bonus if we hit our 18-month target. What's the timeline? I asked. Expedited work visa, should have approval in 72 hours. Emirates flight to Dubai, company covers everything. You'd report January 2nd, but honestly we could use you on site by December 28th if you're available. December 28th, while Sophie and Lisa were still at Jason's cabin. That works, I said. Excellent. I'll have HR process everything tonight. Welcome to the team, Drew. This is going to change everything for you. He wasn't wrong about that. I didn't pack that night. I didn't leave a note. I just sat there for a while, listening to the heater kick on and the ice maker clunk to life, the ordinary noises of a house that suddenly wasn't really mine anymore. I didn't know it yet, but that quiet click of the send button was the first step toward the day Lisa would stand in front of a judge, red-faced and furious, while the truth finally caught up with her. When the Emirates flight touched down in Dubai at 6:47 a.m. local time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Quiet, not peace exactly, more like the quiet after a sandstorm when the air settles and you're not sure if it's really over. Dubai International Airport was a city unto itself, gleaming marble floors, soaring glass ceilings, and the constant hum of international commerce. People from every corner of the world hurried past with purpose, speaking languages I couldn't identify. It was the opposite of Bakersfield in every way that mattered. Ken Morrison met me at customs, a tall British expat with sun-weathered skin and a firm handshake. Drew, welcome to the sandbox, he said with a grin. How was the flight? Long, I said, but I'm here. That's what counts. Come on, let's get you sorted. The ride to my apartment in Dubai Marina took 40 minutes through morning traffic. Ken pointed out landmarks as we went. The Burj Khalifa piercing the sky like a steel needle, Palm Jumeirah spreading into the Persian Gulf like a concrete tree, construction cranes everywhere you looked. This was a city that never stopped building. Your project site is just there, Ken said, pointing to a massive construction zone near the marina. 30 floors, 500 luxury units, completion date September 2026. Your baby for the next 18 months. The apartment was on the 42nd floor of Marina Heights, a glass tower that reflected the morning sun like a mirror. 2 bedrooms, fully furnished, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the marina, the kind of place I'd never imagine living in. Company phone, company laptop, company car keys, Ken said, dropping items on the kitchen counter. Building has a gym, pool, concierge, everything you need. Questions? When do I start? Tomorrow, 7 a.m., site briefing with the engineering team. You'll like them. Good people, know their business. That evening, I stood on the balcony watching boats navigate the marina below. The sun was setting over the Persian Gulf, painting the sky orange and gold. It was beautiful, but foreign. Everything about this place felt like someone else's life. I checked my phone. No messages from Lisa. That didn't surprise me. She could go days pretending I didn't exist if it suited her. But Sophie. I kept waiting for something. A question, a picture, anything. So I sent the first message. Hey kiddo, made it to Dubai safe. It's hot here even in December. Miss you already. No reply. I tried again the next morning. Sending you something special from the gold market. Should arrive next week. Love you. Still nothing. The first week at the construction site was a whirlwind of technical briefings, safety protocols, and project timelines. The engineering team was international. Ahmad from Egypt, Paolo from Italy, Raj from India, Chen from Singapore. All experts in their fields, all committed to the 18-month deadline. The foundation work is complete, Ahmad explained, showing me blueprints spread across a trailer table. We're starting structural steel next month. Your job is keeping everything on schedule and under budget. What's the budget? I asked. 200 million dirhams, about 54 million US. I'd never managed anything close to that scale. Back in Bakersfield, our biggest project was a $30 million refinery expansion that took 3 years. This was different. This was the kind of responsibility that could make or break a career. Pressure? Paolo asked with a grin, noticing my expression. A little, I admitted. Good, he said. Means you understand what's at stake. During lunch breaks, I'd check my phone obsessively. Still nothing from Sophie. The silence was starting to eat at me. Had I really just abandoned a 10-year-old girl who called me dad? Was Lisa right about me being selfish? On Christmas Eve, I bought a small wooden camel from the Dubai Gold Souk, intricately carved with tiny details. The shopkeeper wrapped it in silk and helped me address the package. Sophie Patterson, 1247 Panorama Drive, Bakersfield, CA 93306. International shipping cost $42, more than the camel itself. She must be special, the postal clerk said. She is, I said. Walking back through the souk, I passed families shopping together. Fathers lifting children onto their shoulders, mothers pointing out jewelry displays, kids running between the stalls. I stopped at a cafe and ordered Turkish coffee, watching the crowd flow past. That's when the guilt hit me hard, the heavy kind that sits on your chest like someone pressing down with both hands. Had I abandoned Sophie? Had I really been any better than Jason, disappearing when things got complicated? I tried to tell myself I needed time, space, clarity. But guilt has a way of creeping in, like desert sand through closed windows. Christmas Day was the longest day. The construction site was closed, and most of the crew had gone home to their families. I spent the morning exploring Dubai Mall, watching families ice skate in the middle of the desert, kids posing for pictures with a massive aquarium. I checked Facebook for the first time in months. The first post I saw was from a neighbor back in Bakersfield, Janet Morrison, who lived 3 houses down. A photo that made my blood run cold. Lisa and Sophie standing in front of a large cabin covered in snow, pine trees stretching into a gray sky. Lisa was wearing the red cashmere sweater I'd bought her last Christmas, the one that cost a week's overtime. And next to them was Jason, her ex-husband, wearing my Christmas sweater, the old green one with the stitched reindeer that Sophie had picked out herself, because she said it looked happy. They all looked happy. Picture perfect family. Family Christmas at the cabin, the caption read. I stared at that photo until my coffee went cold. Something stung deep in my chest. Not just jealousy, not just betrayal. It was the realization that Lisa had looked me in the eye, told me Sophie needed her real father, and then stepped right into the life she'd always wanted. Without me. I zoomed in on the picture, and that's when the second punch hit. Sophie wasn't smiling. Not a real one, not the crinkly-eyed grin she always gave me when we watched movies together. She looked confused, a little lost, like a kid who'd been told to stand still for a picture she didn't understand. That did something to me. Broke something and fixed something all at the same time. I closed Facebook and walked back to my apartment. 42 floors up, I could see the construction site where I'd be spending the next 18 months. But for the first time since leaving California, I wasn't thinking about steel beams and project timelines. I was thinking about a 10-year-old girl who probably thought her dad had chosen money over her. 2 days later, I was reviewing structural plans in the site office when Ahmad walked in holding his phone, his expression troubled. "Drew," he said hesitantly, "is your last name Patterson?" "Yeah," I said slowly, setting down my coffee. "Why?" He turned his screen toward me. He'd been browsing American legal websites during his lunch break, something about researching U.S. construction law for a side project. What he'd found was a public notice posted on the Kern County Superior Court website, divorce filing, filed by Lisa Patterson. Reason, abandonment for financial gain. Date filed, December 28th. The same day I'd landed in Dubai. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside and left me with just the shell. "She's saying you left with no intention to return," Ahmad said gently, "and that all marital assets should go to her because you chose overseas money over your family responsibilities." I blinked at the screen, reading the legal language that reduced 8 years of marriage to a few cold paragraphs. "She knew I was taking the job," I whispered. "She watched me send the email. She practically pushed me out the door." Ahmad nodded slowly. Sometimes people choose convenient lies when truth is inconvenient. I sank into the plastic chair beside me. Lisa wasn't just happy without me. She was trying to erase me entirely, rewrite the story, so I became the villain who abandoned his family for oil money in the desert. I opened my email app with shaking hands. Still nothing from Sophie, nothing from anyone back home. My phone buzzed, a notification from the DHL tracking app. The wooden camel I'd mailed to Sophie had been delivered 3 days ago. Signature required. Someone named L. Patterson had signed for it. No thank you text, no photo of Sophie opening it, no acknowledgement that it had ever arrived. Of course not. Lisa had intercepted it. I felt anger for the first time since leaving California. Not the hot yelling kind, but the cold, deliberate kind that settles low in your belly and stays there. "Ahmad," I said, "how quickly can someone file for divorce in California?" He pulled up Google on his phone. Says here, if one party claims abandonment, they can file immediately. No waiting period required. 3 days. Lisa had waited exactly 3 days after I left, before painting me as a deadbeat dad who chose money over family. I looked out the window at the construction site below. Workers in hard hats were positioning steel beams for the 15th floor, a ballet of precision and coordination. The sun was setting over the Persian Gulf, painting everything orange and gold. Dubai was busy as ever, but inside me, a different kind of clarity was forming. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was strategically angry. "I need to make some calls," I told Ahmad. "Take your time," he said. "Family comes first." That evening, I called my old friend Carlos Martinez back in Bakersfield. We'd known each other from the gym for 8 years. He was a personal injury lawyer who'd built his practice from nothing, working nights and weekends until he could afford his own office. "Drew, Jesus, where the hell are you?" he said when he picked up. "Lisa's been telling everyone you ran off with some foreign construction company." "I'm in Dubai, Carlos, for work, legitimate work. Hold on." I heard him moving, probably to somewhere private. "Lisa filed for divorce, says you abandoned the family." "I know, I need help." "What kind of help?" I told him everything. The Christmas ultimatum, the cabin trip with Jason, the Dubai offer I'd been turning down for months, the social media photos with Jason wearing my clothes. Carlos listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "She really stepped in it," he said finally. "Trying to claim abandonment when you took a documented work transfer, blocking your communications with Sophie, filing 3 days after you left. Any family court judge worth their salt will see right through this. So what do? You file a response, and you come home for the hearing. Her attorney will expect you to be out of the country, unable to defend yourself. That's her strategy. Will it be enough to protect Sophie? If what you've told me is true, and I believe it is, this will go your way. But Drew, You need to document everything. Bank records, emails, communications attempts with Sophie. Everything. Already on it. Good. And Drew, don't contact Lisa directly. Don't try to see Sophie before the hearing. Let the court handle everything. Can you get time off work? I'll make it happen. When the call ended, I sat on my balcony for a long time, looking out at the marina below. Luxury yachts bobbed at their moorings, lit up like floating Christmas trees. The sound of traffic and construction carried on the night air. I wasn't coming back to Bakersfield to reclaim a marriage. I was coming back to reclaim a daughter who deserved to know the truth. I booked my return flight that night. The next morning, I found Ken Morrison in his site trailer, reviewing foundation reports. "Ken, I need emergency leave," I said. "Family court hearing in California. I can be back in a week." He looked up, studying my expression. "Everything all right?" "Getting there. My ex-wife is trying to claim I abandoned my stepdaughter. I need to set the record straight." Ken nodded slowly. "Take what you need. Ahmad can handle things here for a few days." "Thanks, I appreciate it." "Drew," he said as I reached the door, "for what it's worth, you don't strike me as the abandoning type." The flight back to LAX felt different from the one that had brought me to Dubai. Shorter, somehow, more urgent. I spent most of the 11 hours reviewing my evidence, making sure I had everything Carlos would need. Bank statements showing Lisa's attempted withdrawals, email chains documenting the Dubai job offer timeline, screenshots of the Facebook post with Jason wearing my sweater, phone records showing my attempts to contact Sophie. Most importantly, I had the drawing Sophie had made, the one with our stick figure family and "I love my daddy Drew" in purple crayon. I'd carried it in my wallet every day since leaving California. When the plane touched down at LAX on a cold, windy morning, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Purpose. I landed back in California with a different kind of quiet inside me. Not the exhausted quiet of defeat, but the focused quiet of someone who knows exactly what needs to be done. Lisa was about to learn that some fights you can't win by lying. I'd planned ahead and booked a room at the Hampton Inn on Rosedale Highway. It wasn't fancy, just a bed, desk, and a window looking out over the parking lot, but it felt solid, honest, like the kind of place you stay when you have serious work to do. That afternoon, I drove past our house on Panorama Drive. Lisa's white BMW was in the driveway next to a silver Honda I didn't recognize. Probably Jason's car. The Christmas wreath was still on the door, tilted slightly to one side. In the front window, the little artificial tree still blinked its colored lights. For a moment, it took everything in me not to pull over, walk up those steps, and knock. Instead, I kept driving. I needed information before confrontation. My first stop was Wells Fargo on Chester Avenue. The branch manager, Jennifer Walsh, had processed our mortgage and knew our account history. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Drew, I thought you moved overseas permanently." "Work assignment," I said. "Temporary. How've things been?" She lowered her voice and glanced around the lobby. "Your wife came in here last week trying to pull all the money from your joint accounts. Made quite a scene when we told her she couldn't without your signature or a court order. Wanted to speak to corporate, threatened to close everything. We had to ask security to escort her out." I nodded, feeling pieces click into place. "Did she say why she needed the money?" Jennifer sighed. "She said you'd abandoned the family for some oil job in Dubai, and she needed emergency funds to support your daughter. But you know our policies. Joint account means joint signatures." "Right. Thanks for following protocol." She slipped me a printout of the last 3 months of account activity. My direct deposits from Chevron on one side, Lisa's attempted withdrawals on the other. Multiple attempts, each one denied. "You take care of yourself, all right," Jennifer said, "and maybe consider separate accounts going forward." Already thinking about it, my next stop was Target on California Avenue. I wasn't shopping, but I needed to hear the local pulse. In small towns, Target is where information spreads faster than wildfire. I pushed a cart slowly down the grocery aisles, listening to conversations. People in Bakersfield don't whisper as quietly as they think. Drew Patterson ran off with some Dubai construction deal. Poor Lisa, stuck with Sophie and that big mortgage. Always seemed like a decent guy, but you never know. Money changes people, especially when it's foreign money. I rounded the corner into electronics and nearly bumped into Dave Hernandez, the assistant manager who'd helped me buy Sophie's birthday presents for 3 years running. "Holy shit, Drew," he said, then caught himself and looked around. "Sorry, I thought you were in Dubai or something." "I am, just back for some business." He shook his head. "Man, Lisa's been in here twice this week, telling everyone you took some huge payoff to work overseas and left her and Sophie high and dry. Said you cleaned out the bank accounts before you left." I let out a slow breath. "That's not what happened, Dave. I figured. You never struck me as the type." He crossed his arms. "She's gonna lose it when she finds out you're back. Probably. Be careful, man. She's been intense lately. Angry. Like, scary angry." That evening, I met Carlos at his office behind the Carl's Jr. on Ming Avenue. He'd expanded since I'd last visited. 2 paralegals, a proper conference room, law books lining the walls. "Let me see what you've got," he said, spreading my evidence across his desk. Bank statements, email chains, phone records, social media screenshots, the DHL tracking report. He studied everything with the methodical patience of someone who'd seen every kind of family court drama. After 20 minutes, he leaned back in his chair. "This is good, Drew. Really good. She's made several critical mistakes, such as filing abandonment 3 days after you left for a documented work transfer, attempting to liquidate joint assets without authorization, blocking your communications with Sophie while claiming you abandoned her, and this." He held up a printout of the Facebook post. "This is going to bury her." "How so?" "She filed claiming financial abandonment, but here she is posting happy family photos from an expensive ski cabin trip. Judge will want to know how a supposedly abandoned single mother can afford a week in Mammoth with her ex-husband." Carlos opened his laptop and started typing. "We file our response tomorrow morning. Request emergency custody evaluation, financial disclosure, and supervised visitation pending resolution. What are our chances?" "Honestly, 90%. She's overplayed her hand completely. The only wild card is how Sophie responds to seeing you. That hit me in the chest. You think she's angry at me? I think she's confused and probably scared. 10-year-olds don't understand adult games, but kids know when they're loved, Drew. That drawing you showed me proves it." The hearing was scheduled for Friday morning, January 12th, at Kern County Superior Court. I spent Thursday night at the Hampton Inn, reviewing my testimony and trying not to think about Sophie's face in that cabin photo. Friday morning came cold and clear, desert wind pushing tumbleweeds across the courthouse parking lot. I wore my best navy suit and the red tie Sophie had picked out for my last performance review at Chevron. Carlos met me at the courthouse steps. "You ready?" "As I'll ever be. Remember, stay calm, stick to facts, don't take the bait when Lisa tries to provoke you. Let the evidence speak." We walked through the metal detectors and down the marble hallway to courtroom 3. The bailiff directed us to the respondent's table. Lisa wasn't there yet. At exactly 9 a.m., the courtroom door opened. Lisa walked in, wearing a long black coat and boots that clicked authoritatively on the tile floor. Right behind her was a younger man in an expensive suit, her attorney, probably someone from one of the big firms in downtown Bakersfield. Lisa scanned the room with casual confidence until her eyes landed on me. She froze for just a second, but I saw everything I needed to see in that moment. Shock, irritation, and a flash of panic she tried to smother under a tight smile. "Well," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "look who finally decided to show up." I didn't respond. Carlos had coached me well. The judge entered, the Honorable Maria Santos, a stern woman with steel gray hair and glasses perched low on her nose. Everyone stood. "Case number 24-DR-1847, Patterson versus Patterson," Judge Santos announced. "Dissolution of marriage with child custody issues." She looked from one table to the other. "Mr. Patterson, I wasn't expecting you to be present. The petitioner's filing indicated you had relocated overseas indefinitely." Lisa's attorney jumped up. "Your Honor, my client was informed." Judge Santos raised her hand. "I'll hear from Mr. Patterson first, since he is present." I stood. "Your Honor, I took a temporary work assignment in Dubai. My wife was fully aware of this decision and the timeline involved." "How temporary?" 18 months, Your Honor, with provisions for family visits and early return if necessary." Lisa's face reddened. Her attorney whispered something urgent in her ear. "Mr. Patterson," Judge Santos continued, "the petition claims abandonment for financial gain. What is your response?" Carlos handed me the binder. "Your Honor, The evidence shows a pattern of deception by the petitioner. She filed for abandonment 3 days after my client left for a documented work transfer, then attempted to liquidate marital assets while claiming financial hardship. I opened to the bank statements. These show multiple unauthorized attempts to withdraw funds, Your Honor. And this, I passed forward the Facebook photos, shows the petitioner on vacation with her ex-husband just days after filing claims of abandonment and financial distress. Judge Santos studied the photos with a disapproving frown. Mrs. Patterson, would you like to explain this discrepancy? Lisa's composure cracked. He left us with nothing. He chose money over his family. Mrs. Patterson, Judge Santos said, sharply, you will address the court respectfully. But Lisa was spiraling. Ask anyone in this town. He abandoned us for some oil money in the desert. Sophie cries herself to sleep because her dad chose Dubai over her. That did it. Judge Santos set down her papers and fixed Lisa with a stare that could cut steel. Mrs. Patterson, based on the evidence presented, this court finds no merit to claims of abandonment. Your husband took a legitimate work assignment with full documentation and timeline. Your attempts to liquidate marital assets and block communications between the child and stepfather show a pattern of manipulation. She signed a document with sharp, decisive strokes. Temporary primary custody is awarded to Mr. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson will have supervised visitation pending full custody evaluation. All financial misconduct will be investigated by a court-appointed auditor. The gavel struck like thunder. Lisa's scream echoed off the courtroom walls. He's not even her real father? Judge Santos's eyes hardened. Mrs. Patterson, real fathers are the ones who stay. Court dismissed. In the sudden quiet that followed, I heard something that made my chest tight. A small voice from the back of the courtroom. Daddy Drew? I turned. Sophie stood just inside the doorway with Mrs. Rodriguez, the school counselor. Her eyes were wet, but she was smiling that gap-toothed grin I'd missed so much. She ran to me and wrapped her arms around my waist. I knew you didn't leave me, she whispered. I couldn't speak. I just held her while the courtroom emptied around us. That hug was the moment everything changed. I wasn't the man who left for Dubai. I was Sophie's dad. Home where I belonged. Sometimes revenge isn't about getting even. Sometimes it's about letting the truth speak louder than the lies.